Okay, so I was with my friend earlier and she was asking how we deal with EGRs, or extra grace required. So those people who just need that extra bit of love and attention, and if you're not careful, can demand your life and your soul and suck you dry.
Yep.
So Alex, you get more wound up by these sorts of people than I do. Okay, talk.
I think the first thing one of the things that I've learned from you is we do have to love these people well. There's still that we're not exempt from that just because someone's really irritating or annoying or highly demanding. So we're responsible for loving them. I think being in Christian community helps. So it's almost like a team approach to dealing with them, and there will be some amazing folks in that community who will have the capacity to care for them better than perhaps you might. But I think we also need to be honest about this. There are some people who are just super demanding, and maybe you in particular get annoyed by that person, and that's not going to be a healthy situation if you leave it untended.
So how do you still love them unconditionally, which we're told to do?
Yeah, I think it's boundaries.
Okay.
So if I was going to say one word for this, it's boundary setting, and I think the key is they don't get to set the boundaries. You set the boundaries.
But you still got to love them unconditionally.
You do love them, but I think what that means is say if there's someone and they tend to be wanting your attention every time you gather or whatever, every time they see you, or they're always in crisis. And so some of that might be real stuff that's going on, and some of it might just be, to be honest, their kind of social incompetence. You get a mixture, but it's fine to kind of think, okay, I'm going to stop and interact with you. I often will pray. I agree. I think praying with people, I mean, that's the best thing you could do anyway.
Point them to Jesus.
Points them to Jesus. It's a helpful, positive thing to do with someone.
Because they need to be able to work out what to do on their own and not just come to you.
Correct. I'm not their Messiah and I'm not the mediator.
Yeah.
And so I think that's part of the pressure that comes from an EGR type of person, where it feels like they're dumping all their expectations onto you. So I think if you can turn them back to the Lord, that's a discipling moment for them. Yes. That actually is a more loving thing to do.
So redirect them, not always answer the call, as it were, not be there 24/7.
No.
Just say, okay, no, you just need to go talk to Jesus about this.
Yeah, and I think it's, gosh, this might sound too brutal if you're watching, but I think some people, we're not talking about someone who's just going through a difficult week or a crisis moment. I think we've all got grace and energy for that, but I think there's some people who just seem to be consistently living like that, and for whatever reason it gets under your skin, and let's be honest, that does happen. So boundary setting is really, I think, something we've done well, I think, over the years, is we've learned to tag team and support each other in that. So
sometimes you find people particularly difficult or demanding, whereas I don't. So I've got extra grace, so sometimes I will give them a bit more time on my own, but at the same time I need to respect your opinion. And sometimes you have that sort of more insightful thing, of that prophetic thing of, okay, there's something else going on here. But it's respecting each other's point of view as well.
Yeah, so if you're constantly inviting them around to come and spend the evening here, that's going to get really draining very quickly. But I think one of the things that's good for a personality like mine, which is more get on with the task, is being around someone like you who's more caring, is that's taught me how to be more loving in those situations. Yeah. And sometimes, just because someone's an EGR, it doesn't mean I'm exempt from going the extra mile at times, or caring for them, or reaching out, or doing that.
Opening your home,
or whatever the thing needs to be. So we're not, I think, go back to the other thing, we're not exempted from that, but we do need to be realistic that there are some people who will, who've got no idea about how they suck life out of people.
And also one of your points was that it's investment. So we've only got a limited amount of time and energy, and so who is it that we feel called to intentionally invest in? And somebody has to give time to everybody needs to be loved, but at the same time, who you're going to maximize your time with, and where you're going to see the greatest return, which sounds a bit terrible, but
I'm not sure it is terrible. I think as long as we are open to the Lord's prompting, So sometimes Jesus says, go and care for someone, be generous, sacrifice to be with that person for a bit. And so we need to continue to be open to that. And you've been good at challenging me on that at times, and occasionally it's been maybe in reverse. But so I think we need to be open to that. But at the same time, I'm responsible for being faithful. You're responsible for being faithful, we as a couple are, with the gifts and what the Lord's put into our hands. And we have limited time. And to be honest, I think as you get older, you realise more than limited time is limited energy. And so it's where am I meant to be investing my energy and my time? And, you know, if you're a disciple maker, you are always going to be accused or risk being accused of having favourites. And that's just the reality. Jesus had favourites. He knew he focused him very deliberately on a pretty small number. Yeah, the 3, then the 12, then the 70, and then there was the crowds. But he was pretty ruthless about that, to be honest. So I think it's recognising that as disciple makers, we can't disciple everyone to the same depth. And sometimes that's just not going to be the person you need to do that with.
So should I ask the question, or have you got any more tidbits?
Why don't you ask a question?
Okay, so we like to end with a question, and the question would be, how do you deal with EGRs? Have you got any particular tips or success stories, or just good advice on what you can do with EGRs? So share them in your groups or add to the comments below. That would be helpful.
Cool. And so if you're watching this, anyone else, jump over to our website, dandelionresourcing.com, and if you click on the blog tab, that's where particularly people, we invite you to post and add comments. So this was a good kind of honest conversation, so feel free to be honest back to us.
Thanks.